There's something you must understand about the life of a chosen one. It's not ordinary. They walk a spiritual path that few dare to take, a path full of deep intuition, heightened awareness, and divine purpose. But this blessing comes with unique challenges, and if you cross certain lines with them, you will awaken storms you didn't even know existed. This is not because chosen ones are vengeful, but because their energy is so finely tuned to truth and integrity that anything that violates it sends ripples through their soul. Today I want to share with you the 9 things that trigger a chosen one, the very actions, words, and energies you should avoid if you want peace to remain between you and them. Because trust me, once that peace is gone, the relationship will never be the same. Before we begin, I want to remind you, if you feel this message reaching you at the exact time you needed to hear it, I believe that's divine alignment at work. In that case, type 1111 in the comments for divine blessings over your life. And if you are someone who values deep spiritual truths and the unfiltered reality of what it means to live as a chosen one, make sure you subscribe and turn on all notifications. That way, you'll never miss a message that could shift your life forever. Now, let's dive into these 9 triggers, because knowing them might save you from losing the trust of a chosen one forever. 1. Disrespecting their boundaries. A chosen one's boundaries are sacred, almost like an invisible wall built brick by brick from years of pain, betrayal, and spiritual awakening. These boundaries are not impulsive or selfish. They are the result of deep lessons learned through being taken advantage of, ignored, or drained by people who didn't understand the value of mutual respect. When a chosen one says no, it is not a challenge, it is a clear statement of self-preservation. They have fought hard to reclaim their peace and are not willing to let anyone or anything jeopardize it. Disrespecting these limits, whether by prying into their personal life without permission, showing up uninvited into their sacred space, or insisting on their time when they have clearly communicated they are unavailable, does not just cross a line, it sends a signal that you cannot be trusted with their vulnerability. Boundaries are their way of telling the world, I value myself enough to protect my energy, and when those are trampled, the damage is not easily repaired. A chosen one may not explode in anger when you disrespect their space. They might instead quietly retreat, making the decision in their heart to distance themselves permanently. They understand that energy is currency and their peace is priceless. Once you show that you do not honor their limits, you will quickly find yourself on the outside of their life, wondering why the connection faded. It's because to them, boundaries are not suggestions, they are lifelines. 2. Lying to them. Chosen ones possess a sensitivity to truth that borders on the supernatural. Even when they cannot point to clear evidence, their intuition, the inner voice trained through countless experiences, alerts them when something doesn't align. You may think your lie is harmless, a small omission, or even a necessary exaggeration, but they will sense it. They don't just listen to your words, they read your tone, your body language, and more importantly, your energy. Lies carry a certain vibration, and to a chosen one, it feels like static in the frequency of trust. When you lie to them, it does not simply trigger suspicion. It pierces deep because honesty to them is more than a social courtesy, it is a spiritual value. They have walked through seasons where truth was hidden, manipulated, or weaponized against them, so they guard their trust like gold. Breaking it is not like spilling water that can be mopped up, it is more like shattering glass. The pieces may be gathered, but the cracks will always remain. And with chosen ones, rebuilding trust is almost impossible because they know that if you lied once, you can lie again. They believe that truth sets not just individuals, but souls free, and dishonesty signals that you are operating from fear, selfishness, or hidden motives. Once they sense deceit, they may not confront you outright. Instead, they will begin stepping back quietly until you realize you are no longer in their inner circle. To a chosen one, A relationship without truth is a relationship without a foundation, and they will not build anything on such unstable ground. 3. Betraying their trust. Trust to a chosen one is not given lightly. It is the cornerstone of any bond they form, whether friendship, romance, or family connection. To them, betrayal is not simply a hurtful act. It is a spiritual violation that echoes in their soul. They share their deepest thoughts, vulnerabilities, and dreams with very few. So when you take that sacred confidence and misuse it by revealing their secrets, speaking ill of them behind their back, or failing them in a moment of need, it strikes a deep chord. This is not about pride or ego, it is about alignment. Chosen ones believe that the universe places certain people in their lives to walk alongside them in truth and loyalty. Betrayal is a clear sign that you are no longer in sync with their divine path, and once they perceive that misalignment, they will take it as guidance to move forward without you. The unique thing about chosen ones is that when they walk away, they do so with finality. They rarely, if ever, revisit old wounds or reopen closed doors. This isn't vindictiveness, it's wisdom learned through hard experience. They understand that allowing a betrayer back into their life is like leaving a gate open for the same storm to return. Betrayal teaches them more about your character than your apology ever could. Even if you regret your actions, you must understand that to them, trust is not something patched up. It must be whole, and once it's broken, the bond you had is gone forever. 4. Mocking their spirituality. Chosen ones are deeply rooted in their faith, though their beliefs may not look like what society expects. Their connection with God, the universe, or their higher self is deeply personal, cultivated through years of seeking, questioning, and experiencing divine moments that cannot be explained to the unready. When you mock their beliefs, whether by rolling your eyes at their rituals, making sarcastic remarks about their prayers, or belittling their visions and spiritual encounters, you are not merely expressing skepticism, you are launching a direct attack on something sacred. Their spirituality is the lens through which they see the world. It is their compass, their anchor, their lifeline. To ridicule it is to say that the core of who they are is invalid. Chosen ones have no need to debate or prove their path to anyone, but they also will not waste energy defending it to those who mock or misunderstand it intentionally. When they detect this kind of disrespect, the reaction is immediate. Emotional doors close, walls go up, and access to their inner world is revoked. They know that spiritual connection is not something everyone will understand, but they expect at least basic respect. Dismissing their faith is equivalent to telling them their soul's journey is meaningless. And for a chosen one, that is the clearest sign to cut ties and move on. They will surround themselves with people who may not share their beliefs, but at least honor their sacredness, because to them, faith is not just a part of life, it is life itself. 5. Trying to control them. A chosen one is, by nature, ungovernable by human will. Their life is led by a higher calling that often does not make sense to outsiders. They may walk away from lucrative opportunities because they feel spiritually misaligned with them, or take bold leaps of faith because they trust divine timing over logic. Trying to control a chosen one, whether through manipulation, ultimatums, or subtle pressure, is a guaranteed way to meet resistance. They are deeply attuned to any attempt to box them into someone else's expectations, and they will rebel against it, not out of stubbornness, but out of an unshakable need to remain true to their soul's mission. You cannot force them into a role they are not meant to play, nor can you dictate the pace of their journey. They know that their path will unfold according to the rhythm of the universe, not the clock on your wall. The more you attempt to restrict them, the more they will slip from your grasp, sometimes vanishing from your life without warning. To be close to a chosen one is to release the need for control entirely, allowing them to move in the flow of their calling. Anything less will feel like spiritual suffocation to them. They would rather lose a relationship than lose their freedom, because to them, control is not love, it is bondage, and a chosen one has survived too much to ever willingly walk back into chains. 6. Bringing constant negative energy. Chosen ones are like finely tuned instruments when it comes to sensing energy. They can walk into a room and immediately feel the weight of tension, bitterness, or hostility lingering in the air. This heightened sensitivity means that constant negativity, whether in the form of gossip, endless complaining, or a cynical outlook on life, is more than just unpleasant, it is spiritually exhausting. Being around such energy feels like having their life force slowly siphoned away. Chosen ones operate best in environments of growth, light, and positivity, and they will go to great lengths to protect themselves from anything that threatens their clarity. If you are consistently unwilling to grow, if you choose to stay in the same cycle of complaints without taking action, they will start to limit their exposure to you. It is not that they lack compassion. They simply know that negativity is contagious, and prolonged exposure can cloud their discernment and weaken their spiritual strength. Chosen ones are on a mission, and mission work requires energy. They choose to be around people who inspire, uplift, and challenge them to rise higher, not those who pull them into the mud of stagnation. Bringing constant negative energy into their life will not only push them away, it will make them see you as a threat to their purpose. And when something threatens their purpose, they will remove it without hesitation, because they understand that their peace is a non-negotiable part of their calling. 7. Discrediting their pain. A chosen one's life path is rarely easy. They have endured seasons of deep suffering, losses, betrayals, financial hardships, health battles, and spiritual wildernesses that tested them to their core. But in each trial, they have found lessons that shaped them into who they are today. Their pain has been their greatest teacher, molding their compassion, resilience, and wisdom. When you dismiss their struggles by telling them to just get over it or implying they are being dramatic, you are not only invalidating their experiences, you are showing a lack of empathy for their journey. Pain for a chosen one is not a badge of victimhood, but a sacred passageway to transformation. Discrediting it feels like erasing a chapter of their life story, one they paid for with tears and endurance. They do not expect others to fully understand their path, but they do expect basic acknowledgement that their struggles were real and significant. When you minimize their suffering, it feels like you are saying the lessons they fought so hard to learn were meaningless. This is deeply wounding because it attacks the very process that made them who they are. Chosen ones thrive in environments of understanding, where their past is respected, not belittled. If you cannot honor their pain, you cannot truly know them, because that pain is interwoven with their identity and their purpose. Discrediting it will create an emotional chasm between you, one they will not attempt to bridge, because to them, empathy is the foundation of any meaningful relationship. 8. Taking advantage of their kindness. A chosen one's kindness is not weakness, it is strength born from countless battles with cruelty and indifference. They have every reason to be cold, guarded, and unreachable, yet they choose to extend compassion to others because they remember what it felt like to need it themselves. But make no mistake, they can sense when their generosity is being abused. If you repeatedly take without giving, if you show up only when you need something, or if you subtly manipulate their good nature to serve your own agenda, you are draining more than just their time and resources. You are draining their spirit. Chosen ones operate from a place of divine reciprocity, believing that healthy relationships are built on mutual respect and exchange. When someone continually takes advantage of their kindness, it feels like a spiritual robbery, a theft not just of energy but of trust. Over time, they will begin to notice patterns, unanswered calls when they need help, sudden friendliness only when you have a request, or excuses when it's your turn to give. Once they identify you as someone who takes without giving, they will start closing the doors of access, not out of spite, but out of self-preservation. They understand that their kindness is a sacred gift, not a limitless resource for the ungrateful. And once that gift is withdrawn, it is rarely offered again. Because for a chosen one, kindness is not to be exploited. It is to be honored, cherished, and matched with equal sincerity. 9. Trying to dim their light. Chosen ones carry a light that is unmistakable. It is not just in their smile, their presence, or their words. It is in the energy they bring into every room they enter. This light is not accidental. It was forged in the darkest seasons of their life, when they had to choose hope over despair, faith over fear. When someone tries to dim that light through jealousy, criticism, competition, or subtle sabotage, it is one of the deepest triggers they can experience. You might belittle their accomplishments, downplay their talents, or constantly shift conversations to your own achievements to overshadow them. But what you may not realize is that this light is their divine assignment. It is not for ego or attention, but to inspire and guide others. Trying to suppress it is like trying to snuff out a flame meant to warm an entire room. It reveals that your spirit is operating from a place of insecurity. Chosen ones will quickly notice when you are not celebrating their victories, when you are uncomfortable with their growth, or when you attempt to keep them small so you can feel bigger. And when they notice, they will quietly step away, not because they are offended by competition, but because they refuse to remain in spaces that cannot handle their shine. They know their light will either be embraced or it will expose the shadows around them, and they are perfectly willing to let it expose yours. If you cannot handle their radiance, they will take it where it is valued, because dimming it is never an option. If you truly value a chosen one in your life, honor their boundaries, speak truth, and respect their journey. They are not like everyone else. They carry both the weight of the world and the light to change it. This is the Alchemy of Awareness channel. If this message resonated with you, don't forget to subscribe for more deep truths. And if you know in your heart this came to you in divine timing, type 1111 in the comments for blessings over your life. Thank you for watching.